Day 400 started out much the same. I had many zombies to kill. West Point was not going to clear itself, and I was the man for the job. So I took out my trusty pickaxe and started pickaxing away. I yelled to them to bring them to me. I hated fighting indoors, and I wanted them to all come to the road. And come they did. Good doggy zombies. Watch out for the creepy crawlies. As usual, the zombies tried to steal my ride, but I was not having any of it. I had stolen that car. I was leaving quite the trail of bodies in my wake. They came at me from all sides out of the woodwork, and I slaughtered them. They busted out of houses. They came from everywhere. But my pickaxe and I were up to the job. Until it broke. And then it was back to trusty crowbar. I hadn't decided on a favorite weapon yet, so I made use of everything in my arsenal. Next up was the spear. Guys, Halloween is over. No more creepy crawlies. My yelling wasn't attracting them fast enough, so I busted out my rifle and started blasting away. Watch out! This is why I always carry 2 guns on my hips. Once one runs out of ammo, just switch to the other and keep blasting. After that, it was shotgun time. They started to overwhelm me, so I ducked through the buildings to try to get away. And there were yet more of them. The showdown in the rain continued. I tried to escape in my car, but I couldn't quite get in time. So I had to keep fighting. I was getting exhausted. I tried to escape through the trees. And I made it to my car and drove away. But this was merely an interlude to catch my breath. The combat continued. After I slaked my bloodlust for a few days, I decided it was time for a looting run. I wanted some decorations for my new base. So I decided to hit up the local bar, Twiggy's, and the nearby gun store. I decided to try to lure the zombies out first to make sure I wasn't walking into an ambush. And then I made my entrance. Apparently, I wasn't the only one that fancied an afternoon drink today. After I cleared out the occupants, I went searching for supplies. I found plenty of beer. Beer. I grabbed what supplies I could find, but what I was really after was the furniture. I grabbed the antique bar taps and some of the matching counters, as well as a couple of stools to add to the set. Upstairs, I grabbed the pinball machine and some pool cues and pool balls. And I completed my set with these wall bar cabinets. After I got everything installed, I was very happy with the results. I had a nice, fancy bar to relax in after a hard day of slaughtering undead. And then it was back to that gun store I had mentioned earlier. It was time to work on my armory. I had to make use of my sledgehammer to break in. It was well guarded, or defended at least. Not guarded. There were no guards. Then I grabbed all the ammo I wanted. And I took the cool gun lockers as well. I would set these up in the armory. It seemed weird to be taking everything out of these only to put it back in them later. I finished up my armory and got everything put away. Look at all this guns and ammo. I was set for the foreseeable future. All it needed was some decorations for a finishing touch. With my new rooms finished, I decided that it was time to make another attempt on the trip back to March Ridge. This time, I was able to make it out of town without running into a horde. I decided to make a little bit of a stop in Muldraugh to start clearing it out. It was on the way, after all. Might as well not waste the drive. I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. I wasn't really prepared for an all-day fight. I was planning to just make my way through, so things got a little bit tense. So I decided to make my escape. I ducked into my car and just barely made it before the zombies could grab me, and I drove away. By the time I made it to the other side of Muldra, I was rested up and ready for another round. And so were the zombies. My rifle made quick work of the zombies in the street, and that pulled them out of the woodwork. Always check your 6. watch out now. It was starting to get late in the day, and I wanted to hit up March Ridge before nightfall. So I hopped back in my car and continued my journey. And I pulled into my old March Ridge base, and everything looked about as I had left it. I had really left this place kind of a disaster area. I picked up all the stuff that I had left that I thought I could use and packed it away in the truck. After I had everything all packed up, I decided to do a quick tour around March Ridge to see if there was anything I'd missed. And surprise, surprise, I found more zombies. I also found a couple of cool arcade games, so I took those for my new place. What are you doing back here, you creep? Oops. Good thing this was my March Ridge vehicle and I wasn't planning to take it with me. And good thing I hadn't drove my mover van on my tour around March Ridge. Next, I stopped by the movie theater and grabbed some posters for my new place to spruce it up a little bit. I had thoughts about building myself my own in-base movie theater, but it seemed like maybe too much work and more trouble than it was worth, so I just grabbed the posters. After I grabbed my new decorations out of the old car and put them in my moving van, it was getting late. So I took a little nap and then headed back home in the middle of the night. Of course, along the way, I had to do a little more clearing in Muldra. Why waste the trip? I guess I had done a good job last time because there wasn't nearly as many zombies in the street. I was able to fix that with a combination of yelling and gunfire. Zombies, I brought you into this street and I can take you out of it. Hello there, Mr. Prepper Zombie. I guess you were not prepared. Look out now. Is that a lacrosse stick? Does Muldraugh have a lacrosse team? I guess we'll never know. Oh boy, they are everywhere. This might have been a mistake. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Run through the trees. I'm getting tired. I'm panicked and exhausted. Things are not going well for our hero. Might be time to make an escape. Am I out of ammo? I think I'm out of ammo. That's not good. I wanted to duck back into my car, but there were zombies in the way. I crowbar took care of them quickly before the horde could arrive. Or so I thought. Now's your chance. Run for it. Run for it. Made it. Look at all these zombies. Look at them all, Anakin. By the time I made it to the other side of Muldraugh, my exhaustion had cleared, so I went back to fighting. Oh boy. Coming out of the woodwork again. Oop, look out. That was a close one. Might be time to beat a hasty retreat. And I made it away. Am I the unknown activity? Well, that was fun, but I was back at base and it was time for a much-needed nap. To take a break from the slaughter, I built myself a storage room. It wasn't that pretty, but it would do the job. Out of all the rooms I had built so far, this is the one I was the least proud of, but it was utilitarian. I spruced it up with a couple of decorations so that it wouldn't be quite so barren, at least. I put in some posters, added some carpet, and it was looking up. Next on the agenda was carpeting the hallway and adding a nice dining room table to my kitchen. Well, I guess it's not a dining room table, but, you know, a dining table. I now had a nice place to eat my breakfast in the morning. Things were looking up. Next up on the agenda, I wanted another car for day-to-day driving around West Point so that my mover van wouldn't get so beat up. After driving around West Point for a while, I found a cab that looked like it might suit my purposes. It looked like it was in pretty good shape. So I broke in and quickly hotwired it, and it was mine. I had just gotten it hitched up to my moving van and ready to move back to base when I saw another car that I thought I might like better. This nice black car, and it was in great shape too. I went back and forth for a while. I even siphoned the gas out of the black car and started stripping some of the parts off of it. But eventually the black car went out, so I decided to start stripping the cab of parts to install them into the black car. I think the deciding vote was that the black car had a slightly better engine. I took all the best parts out of the cab and put them in the new black car. And then took the gas out of the cab and put it back into the black car. Back and forth, back and forth. This had turned into an all-day project. But eventually I was satisfied, so I towed my new car back to base. I now had a nice day-to-day car to drive around West Point with without ruining my mover van. I got cars in different area codes. You know, there was something that had been on my mind for weeks. The prison back in Rosewood. I couldn't stand it, knowing all those zombies were trapped in there. So it was time for another road trip back to Rosewood. Oh no, my brand new car! At least I didn't injure myself, too. But once again, why waste a perfectly good trip through Muldraugh? So I cleared out some more zombies along the way. I was snow plowing the zombies off the road with my snow shovel. You would think that Muldraugh would be getting a little bit clear by now. But there was no one else to do it. It was up to me. snow shovels make great weapons. Eventually, I tired myself out and drove the rest of the way back to Rosewood. I felt like I had just been here. Deja vu. After fixing up my car from the damage the road trip took, I headed towards the prison. This prison had been a thorn in my side for a long time, and I was finally about to do something about it. Are things still as terrible here as I remember? Yep, they certainly are. But not for long. Oh man, what a terrible throw. The fire went out in the parking lot in the rain. I took some beta blockers and tried again. That's a little better. Would the building catch on fire this time? Looks like we were getting somewhere. I kept throwing. That one had to do it for sure this time, right? Yes, the zombies inside were on fire. It wasn't a great way to go, but they were already zombies, so, I mean, could it get any worse? I had finally accomplished starting the fire. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world... Actually, I did start the fire. I had some unintended consequences when the zombies on fire escaped the prison since the prison was burning down. This was interesting, to say the least. You know, guys, I wanted to burn down the prison, not the entire surrounding area. So if you guys could kindly go back in your cells, I would really appreciate it. No. This is not a jailbreak. No. Please go back. No, not this way. No, thank you. No, thank you. Please don't come this way. Go back. Go back. Oh, man. I have a conga line of burning zombies following me. That's not ideal. Look at the chaos my actions had wrought. Eventually, they would burn themselves to death, but what all would they destroy in the process? And would they destroy me? I decided not to take the chance. And put them out of their burning misery. This one almost got to me, and I was almost about to do something about it when he burned to death. And now there were flaming corpses lying all over the place. This is an improvement, I guess. Well, looks like I had accomplished my objective. The prison was on fire. Would the entire thing burn down from this wing being on fire? I had my doubts. Like shooting fish in a barrel. I did a little bit of target practice on the zombies stuck inside the fence and prison. I shot as many of the zombies as I could and then went back to trying to burn the place on fire. Oops, that was dangerous. Let's try that again. Maybe without throwing it so close to it myself this time. I don't think that did the trick that time. Oh, maybe the fire's spreading. Maybe. Maybe it is. What? That's not where I threw it. But I think that one actually went inside the building. So that might have accomplished our objective. Yes, the fire had spread inside the building. This is what I was hoping for. But I had to be careful of zombies coming out to meet me. Especially zombies on fire. I kept firing away and yelling to get the zombies to spread the fire inside, and it looked like... Whoa, yikes, that was scary. It looked like it was happening. Gotta be careful. of those windows that had just burned down. I was trying to get the burn zombies to join the group and light the group on fire. They didn't seem to want to cooperate. Until finally, one of them that was on fire died and lit up, and it lit the rest of them up. And unfortunately, that also had the unfortunate benefit of freeing the zombies, so I had to take care of them with my shotgun before they could get to me. Look at that fire flare up with zombiness. I think it's time to make an escape. This is not what I bargained for. Let's get out of here. As I headed back to West Point, I could only hope that the fire would spread and take that entire cursed prison with it. But that wasn't my problem anymore. My problems lie in the east. Most immediately, Muldraugh, to be exact. Why do the zombies always try to steal my car? Don't they know that that's the last place they should go? That is the first place that I'm going to clear out. You know the routine by now. I fought till I was exhausted and then used the drive across town to recover. Oops. I was clearing Muldraugh end by end. Eventually, I would have to meet in the middle. But this strategy was working well for now. While I had been away, my traps had bore fruit. Well, I mean, rabbits. I would eat good tonight. I repaired the broken ones and harvested my bounty. And this got me my final skill up towards master trapping. So, of course, the next thing I did was read my master trapping book. I sat in the rain and enjoyed a nice, lovely evening of reading. I was now a master trapper. The only skill I was not proficient in was fishing, and I thought maybe it was time to fix that. I had a brilliant idea to build a fishing hut along the beach of the river near West Point, so I started clearing out the trees in the area I wanted to build. I decided this pre-built dock would be a good starting point. So I started building the floor. After I had a nice sized basin, I started building the walls. This project was taking a lot of wood, so to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, I started clearing the trees back along the path that I would take back to town. This would make it easier to travel back and forth and give me the wood that I needed. This was exhausting work, and being exhausted around zombies is dangerous business. So I decided not to fight this one. I decided discretion was the better part of valor this day. If my car would start. Oh, thank you. Whew. I was making great progress. I had the beginnings of a great-looking fishing hut when I decided it would be safer if I built out onto the pier instead of in front of the pier. So all this work was going to waste. I was going to start over, more or less. I wanted my fishing hut to have a second level for some water barrels, just in case I wanted to stay here overnight. I also needed a roof to sleep under, so I started building. What's happening here? I went into town and got myself a bed and installed it. Now I just needed to cover it, so I wouldn't get rained on while I was sleeping. I was building an entire house from scratch, over the water. Very interesting. Master carpentry sure was coming in handy. This was a project to be proud of. I worked all throughout the day and into the night, and I was able to sleep in relative safety in my new bed. And just like that, the roof was finished. I had used up my axe, so I had to go back into town to disassemble furniture for more wood. But the zombies got in the way again. After the bedroom was more or less done, I put in some traps to make it much more difficult, if not impossible, for zombies to get to me. The project was almost done. I decided it was time to put my fishing traps in. Next up, I installed the cabinet and sink that I had brought over from a nearby house and plumbed it. To the water barrel I had built on the roof. That being done, I decided to try my hand at spearfishing. I didn't catch much, but I did get myself a nice fishing skill up. And a big trout. Spearfishing didn't seem to work that well, so I tried to bust out my fishing rod, and that worked much better. I ended up catching all the fish in the surrounding area and barely made a dent in my fishing skill. I hoped with time the fish would replenish and I could do some more fishing later. I had totaled my car driving home in the middle of the night from fishing, so the next project was to replace it. Look what I had done to my poor baby car. Oh man, it was ruined. I salvaged what I could off of it and went looking for a replacement. After driving around for a while and salvaging parts, I eventually settled on this sporty-looking car that I thought would serve me well. This car would last me well into the next several hundred days and would serve me well all the way into Louisville. If I could get it lined up to tow it, that is. Alright, this is not working. Let's move the cars out into the street and we'll tow them from there. That's much easier. Now let's get this thing back to base. At some point I needed to fix up my mover van as well. It was looking pretty shoddy. Next up, I took my new sporty looking car into Muldraugh and continued my efforts to clear it out. I thought I was about ready to set up my new Muldraugh base. I would not be moving permanently or semi-permanently to Muldraugh like I had the other towns. I would keep my permanent base in West Point and established, I guess you could call it an outpost in Muldraugh for, you know, weekend trips. You know, doesn't it sound super relaxing for a weekend trip of slaughtering undead in a nearby town? This factory on the north end of town would make a fantastic base. It had a nice upper level that I could knock the stairway out of with a sledgehammer to make safe, and an excellent roof. But for now, it was time to keep clearing. Whoop. They almost got me there. Wow, the auto body shop sure is jumping. Whoa, almost got me again. Getting careless. Gotta focus. Watch out behind you. Shooting zombies through windows is a fantastic way to pick them off from safety. As long as you don't run out of ammo. Or, you know, get snuck up on from behind. This was supposed to be my first foray actually into Muldraugh, but would I even get off the road? There was so many zombies to fight just on the road. It didn't help that I kept luring them to the road with my shouting and gunplay. They almost cornered me, but I made a technobol escape. On and on the fighting went. I was getting sleepy, but still I pressed on. The dead don't sleep after all. But maybe I should. They were getting pretty close to getting me. Guns are both a blessing and a curse, boys and girls. They can kill zombies pretty easily and from relative safety, but the more you use them, the more zombies they summon. So it's kind of a catch-22, and it kind of summons endless waves of zombies. So, you know, be careful out there. Especially when your character's starting to get tired. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Okay, there we go. Ooh. And watch out for the trees. You know, you're not George of the Jungle. Watch out for the trees. Okay, but seriously, is this fight almost over yet? I'm getting ridiculously tired now. But the dead don't care. Expecting sympathy from a zombie is a great way to get disappointed. Ah, some coffee. Some more coffee, please. I'm still tired. That's better. Alright, now we're ready to go. You'll pay for this, zombies. I am back. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. But apparently, so are the zombies. A lovely skill up with my spear. Love to see it. I fought until it was dark out, and I figured that was a good time to call it a day. We would come back another day and finish the job, but for now, it was time to head home and get some rest. I had earned it. I took a day or two to recover and do some maintenance around the base and get all my needs met with my trapping and farming, etc. And then it was back to killing. This time, it was back in West Point. I wanted to fully clear West Point. If that was even possible. And for a while there, it seemed I had. Until eventually I found the undead, or maybe the undead found me. Either way, the fight was on. There was only going to be one winner in this Mortal Kombat. And it's gonna be me. Or, is it? There's a lot of them. Finish him. Where are they all coming from? It was shotgun time once again. They always like to loiter around my car. Looks like these firefighters were responding to this house fire when the apocalypse hit. The battery was actually still charged enough that I could turn on the siren, so I thought to use it as a lure to bring the zombies to me. Bring them to me and I will deal with them myself. There weren't as many in this part of the neighborhood as I was expecting. I decided to try to drive the fire truck around a bit, and I crashed it and ruined it and cut myself badly. I was hoping to drive it around to lure the zombies, but, you know, things happen, I guess. This was going to severely impact my ability to fight as well. Arm wounds are always difficult when you're trying to fight zombies. With the car totaled and my arm injured, I decided it was time to call it a day. And I almost ruined my car as well. Not having a good day here, guys. To take a break from fighting and let my arm heal, I decided to go back to my fishing spot and see if I could level up my fishing some more, and maybe catch some food in the process. The fish had not replenished themselves as I had hoped. So I headed upstream. I was a little bit worried about running into groups of zombies since I hadn't been in this area before, but it seemed my antics in other areas had drawn the zombies away. I didn't encounter any zombies. And I didn't ruin my car. I found some areas that had fish in them, and I went to work. Spear fishing proved not so effective once again. Rod fishing works much better. That's what she said. I fished until I'd fished up all the fish there was to fish. And then I moved to another area to find some more fish and fished up all the fish there. I did this for a couple of days until my arm was healed. And then I was once again ready for combat. Another zombie lunge. I thought I had learned my lesson in March Ridge. You would think the zombies would learn their lesson. But I guess both me and them were just as stubborn. So the fight went on. And of course, fog rolled in, as it always does when I want to go fight. I had not picked a great spot. They were coming at me from all sides, but I was able to handle it. I was starting to feel like West Point might finally be reclaimed for the living. There did not appear to be any zombies anywhere. I picked off a few stragglers. So eventually I found what I was looking for. A group of them. But it was a small group, and I dispatched them easily. Another small group proved to be of no challenge. I had become quite proficient in killing zombies. You might even call me a master zombie slayer. And that did it. Finally, the fight I was looking for came at the hands of gunfire summoning the horde. But even that was easily dispatched. They were streaming in. When they stream in like this, they are easy pickings. They were coming from all sides, which makes it a little more difficult, but still, I handled it. Let there be carnage. This one's getting close. Ooh, there we go. Got him. Was West Point finally free of the undead? Had I done it? Had I liberated another town? What wasn't liberated was my driving skills. I searched high and low, and I could not seem to find any more zombies. I decided to claim that I had cleared West Point. West Point was now my territory. I had made West Point an exclusionary zone. Something even the military couldn't do. Oh, hi. Bye. After I staked my claim to West Point, it was back to less violent endeavors. I cleared out all the machinery from my basement. Well, I mean, it's the first floor, I guess, but I was living above it, so I was calling it a basement, to build my garage. With my claim staked in West Point, I decided it was time to establish my Muldraugh base. I cleared the immediate area around my chosen factory, or warehouse, I guess it is. And started getting things set up the way that I wanted them. I put in escape ropes and put in a bed for safe sleeping. Next, I would have to knock down the staircase with my sledgehammer. And put in a water dispenser for emergency water. Next step was destroying the staircase so that I was 100% safe while I was in my new base. I set up my generator for power. And then I put in, I guess we'll call it a kitchenette. I didn't need a full kitchen since I would only be making weekend trips here. or multiple, or day trips, I guess you could say. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the weekend, but I did need clean water. I just didn't need as much of it as I needed at my main base. I figured just one rain collector barrel would be enough for this base, since I wouldn't be spending that much time here. And the final step, I fortified the lower level by replacing some of the walls that the zombies had broken. And with this final touch, the base was complete. I wasn't going to put too much effort into it since this was just a temporary outpost, but I was happy with what I had done. Just in time, too. I was exhausted. It was time for bed. Base established, I decided to go decoration hunting for my main base. The local bar was my first stop. After clearing out the owners, I took a few decorations, and I took the jukebox. This would look nice in my new base. I took all the paintings and the potted plants. And I decided to do some fighting in Muldraugh to clear it out before I headed home. It took a little bit of time, but eventually I found the fight I was looking for, and it was on. It is on like a prawn who yawns at dawn. I was using weak weapons, both to break them to save good weapons, and because this was fantastic for skilling up. It was dangerous, though. The herd is not thinning. The herd is not thinning. Okay, there we go. Whew. The herd is thickening again. It was thinning, but now it's thickening again. Not good. Alright, we've cleared out the swarm. Excellent. There's always one last creepy crawly. As I made my way back to my vehicle, I had noticed that the undead had made their way to the vehicle as well. We fought in the woods as well. Dangerous, to be sure. Where were they all coming from? There can't be that many people camping when the apocalypse hit, could there? As the battle wore on, my weapons felt heavier and heavier, and my blows lost their potency. But on and on we fought. After resting up, my next objective was all the points of interest that I had found on my map throughout my journeys. There were a bunch of them here in Muldraugh, and I wanted to check them off. My first stop was a house marked floorboards on my map. I found the local and dispatched them, and then took a look around, and I could not figure out what to do. I was unable to find the secret. I scoured the house, but was unsuccessful in my search. So I continued on my journey. And disaster almost struck. Had I not learned my lesson, holy cow, my armor took that one for the team. That was close. I kind of ran around in a blind panic for a while, so freaked out at what had just happened. I couldn't believe my luck that I was still alive. But then I went back to searching. And found nothing of interest. I was actually so freaked out by that close call that I decided it was time to head back home to check on my crops and make sure everything was going well at my house. Just in time, too. My crops were ready for harvest. Nothing quite like a fresh tomato right out of the ground. Mmm, delicious. My next stop was to check on my fishing hut. I checked my traps and checked to see if I could do any more fishing. The fish still hadn't recovered, but I was able to find a spot nearby. So I spent the day relaxing, doing some fishing, recovering my sanity after the close call. My nerves were finally starting to calm down. You know, in the old world, I never believed them when they said how relaxing fishing was. But after nearly being eaten by a zombie, it was the most relaxing thing in the world. With my sanity recovered, I set my sights once again on the east, Valley Station, and then on to Louisville. I heard there was a racetrack along the way. I wanted to check it out, so I started clearing the road on the way. The fight was long and grueling, but I made it to the racetrack. And found it overwhelmed with zombies and overgrown with plant life. At least I got to do some fast driving while I was here. I spent the day clearing it of the infestation. Not necessarily because I thought I would be back, but because it was the right thing to do. And plus, killing zombies was my new favorite activity. Especially when there was a fence between me and them and I could pick them off from safety. 2 years ago, if you had told me that my new favorite activity was going to be slaughtering zombies, I never would have believed you. First of all, who would have thought that there would be zombies? And second of all, who would have thought that it would be so much fun to kill them? I learned my lesson this time. I stayed away from the lunges. If you could time it right, when they came over the wall was a great time to kill them, as long as you didn't get lunged at. They were vulnerable while they were on the ground, so that was the time to strike. I suppose these must be the redneck zombies who were all at the racetrack at the time of the apocalypse. Where were they all coming from? Seriously, was it race day when the apocalypse hit? What were all these zombies doing here? I didn't see any cars that they were racing. Maybe the race car drivers drove away. day turned to night, and the rain rolled in. And the zombies kept rolling in. The storm started turning bad, so I figured it was time to head home. The storm lasted for days, but I couldn't wait that long. I needed to keep fighting. I had my sights set on Valley Station proper, so I started making my way there. I had a great idea for a base where I could set myself out for forays into Louisville. If only I could get to it. And the zombies were determined that I not get to it. Block by block, I fought my way up the highway into Valley Station. The undead did not want to give an inch, but give an inch and I take a mile. I bless the rains down in Louisville with zombie blood. I fought till I was exerted, and then leapfrogged forward until I was ready to go again. Until finally I reached my destination, the gas station and convenience store combo on the outskirts of Louisville in Valley Station. I wanted to set this up as my next base. But first, I had to reclaim it from the horde, and they would not give it up easily. It's raining zombies. Hallelujah, it's raining zombies. To counteract the zombie rain, I made it rain shotgun bullets. And when I ran out of shotgun bullets, I resorted to melee. Holy cow, look at how many zombies. This was going to be tough. Could I defeat this many zombies? I was already exerted. What was I going to do? My guns kept jamming. I was not running low on zombies. On and on I fought. I was running low on weapons. I kept breaking them on zombie faces. I tried ducking through the trees to lose them, and while I lost a large number of them, there was still more. There is always more. And they found me. I tried to put enough separation between us to use my rifle, but was only partially successful. And of course, this just attracted more. I was exhausted, wet, and tired, and running low on weapons and ammo. This was a dire situation. I was now completely out of ammo except for my rifle, which was not good at short range. Oh, that was a close one. The zombies had actually scratched me as I ran past. I was now wounded, tired, exerted, out of ammo, and almost out of weapons, so I figured it was time to make my retreat. I would be back, but for now, I needed to lick my wounds and make sure I did not succumb to the zombie virus. I made a beeline for my car and quickly juked the zombies and fought them off. Oh man, that was close. He got me again with a laceration. I was in big trouble now. This time, I was able to hop in the car and drive away. But would this be my death? It's entirely possible. I had gotten lucky this time. Neither of my wounds was infected. And after I recovered and rearmed myself, it was back into the fights. The fight for Valley Station had continued. I was a little bit surprised at how many zombies were still in the road, and it was about this time that I had discovered the magical power of the shovel. This was my new favorite weapon, and I made use of it. Little by little, I was thinning the swarm and making my way back to where I had nearly perished not that long ago. There were so many zombies along the road, it almost felt like I hadn't killed any last time I was here. I was kind of confused how there could still be so many. But then I remembered that I was leapfrogging the groups a little bit when I was getting tired, so that could account for the extra amount of zombies, I suppose. I was getting close. There was one of the huge piles of zombies I had left behind from last trip. And there they were. Oh, back up, back up. We don't want to get out in the middle of that. Let's regroup a little bit. And now we can start the fight. This might have been the group that scratched me. It was time for revenge. You guys thought I was tough when I was tired and injured. Ha! What do you think now? How do you like me now, zombies? Each shovel. They were no match for the power of the shovel. Maybe if I had a shovel last time, they wouldn't have scratched me. Zombies are so gross. Look at them flopping around. So gross. Ick. Get out of here. You're not welcome in this world. Day turned into evening, and still the fight carried on. The zombies were relentless, but I was not going to give up either. I hammered them in the face with the shovel, and they fell before me, but more were always there to take their place. They came out of the woodwork. They came from the nearby neighborhood. They came from everywhere. We'll just leave it at that. Eventually, I fought my way to a police barricade and thought to use it as a lure. For days and days, we fought, the undead and I, in the battle for Valley Station. Every day, I would fight until I was exhausted and then head home to rest. And then, when I would return, the roads would be clogged with zombies once again. Where were they all coming from? I didn't know, but I was determined to get rid of them. A katana, that's a nice find. We'll take that for sure. The evidence of my previous struggles was everywhere. Look at the carnage. Eventually, I fought my way to my would-be zombie lure. It seemed the zombies had turned it off for me and congregated in the nearby area. I was kind of expecting there to be more zombies than this in the area, but I mean, I suppose it was enough. I quickly dispatched them with my shotgun. They were no match for the sheer firepower I brought to bear. On and on I fought until I made it to my destination, my new would-be Valley Station base. First, I checked the nearby liquor store for any supplies there might be, but it was mostly just alcohol, and that's dangerous in the zombie apocalypse. And then I very carefully made my entrance into my new would-be base and made sure that it was clear. For once, it actually was clear. There was plenty of supplies to be had, and I would make this upstairs bedroom my home away from home for forays into Louisville, as soon as I got that corpse out of it. But before I could settle in, I had to clear out the surrounding area. So I set to work doing just that. The zombies were running around like chickens with their heads cut off, so I helped them by cutting their heads off. Or, you know, bashing them in. Either or. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Watch your back. Another close call. This was, more zombies than I had bargained for, and I was getting tired. This might not be the best idea. But in for a penny, in for a pound. So pound them I did. Until I was getting too tired. So I tried to make an escape, but they had swarmed my vehicle once again. This was going to be bad. Some coffee would help, but I had more problems than just coffee could solve. Could my shotgun solve the problem? Well, yes and no. It could solve the problem, but it could also create the problem, if you know what I mean. And that's exactly what happened. I kept trying to double back to get to my car, but every time there were zombies surrounding it. This would take some clever footwork to get back to the car. In the meantime, I kept thinning out the swarm as best I could, which was pretty darn good if I don't say so myself. I led them all the way over to the road. If I could keep them all grouped up, I could deal with them. But they didn't want to stay grouped up. How much more ammo did I have? Did I have enough? That's always the question when you're dealing with this many zombies. Is there enough ammo? I was now officially losing ground to the zombies. I was heading back away from my base the way I came. Could I turn this fight around? Or could I make my escape? I was popping beta blockers and coffee like it was going out of style, but nothing could stop my exertion from kicking in. Now that I had exerted myself, I couldn't find the space between me and the zombies to recover. And now I was all the way back to the main highway. I had lost a lot of ground. And it didn't seem like I had made a dent in the horde. How was I going to get back to my car? Was that even an option at this point? Would I be better off just running for my base in West Point? But then how would I get back here? Would I have to take my van? I wasn't sure, so I kept fighting and did the best I could. My ammo stock's exhausted, it was back to melee, and my shovel did not let me down. Even though I was exerted, and the shovel felt heavier and heavier with each swing, I still was able to take them down. I had done it. At least for now. This gave me a little breathing room to bring my guns back into play. And play with my guns I did. We were still moving backwards, but I was still alive. Staying alive, staying alive. And that's all that mattered. Just one more step. One more swing. Swing by swing. Finally, I had the breathing room to take a break, and that let me recover some of my exertion. But the zombies just kept trickling in. They were coming just enough to keep me from recovering. How rude. Unfortunately, I found yet another swarm. And man, was it getting hard to fight. I wasn't sure how much longer I could keep this up. I decided to make a very slow break for it. Instead of fighting, I was going to try to make my escape back to the car. Fortunately, I could walk faster than the zombies could shamble after me, so I thought maybe there was a chance, depending on how many zombies are back the way I came. But it was worth a try, because I could not keep this up much longer. I was just too exerted. I was exhausted. My walking strategy seemed to be paying off. While I wasn't recovering any of my endurance, I was surviving, and I was making my way back to my car. Now, I was almost there. Would there be enough space between the zombies for me to get into my car? That was the question. And to my surprise, my car was free of zombies. Relatively. I thought I was going to have time to get into the car, but the zombies caught up to me before I could make that happen. I may have made a mistake by doing a little bit of looting first. It seems I had lost my pursuit. But why didn't I get into my car and drive away? Why, oh why? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? This was a very silly mistake that I made here, and hopefully it would not bite me in the butt, literally. Zombies came flopping out of buildings, and I should have known better because I had been hit by lungers before. Finally, I got in my car. But instead of driving away, for some reason I just repositioned myself and went back to fighting. Maybe I was feeling confident because there were only a few zombies. Perhaps I was just too overtaken with bloodlust. You would think that I was the zombie at this point. But eventually, I made my escape. Day 500. I could not believe it. I had survived for 1 year, 4 months, and 15 days, all alone in the apocalypse. It had been a long, strange trip from our humble beginnings, waking up in a riverside trailer, to clearing out Riverside, clearing out Rosewood, the prison, and the military base, then clearing March Ridge, and even West Point itself. Now we had a foothold in Muldraugh and Valley Station, and we were moving towards Louisville. I had killed 14,891 zombies. And my skills were nearly maxed out. But what more would it take to clear Louisville and make it to safety? Was there even safety to make it to? Was Louisville overrun? Was anything beyond Louisville safe? We would find out if we could stay alive.